You might have noticed, but the Premier League is back this weekend and it's become something of a tradition at this point that we use Football Manager to predict how the season is going to go. In fact, to be honest, at this point, it feels like it'd probably be quite rude not to do an FM23 Predicts the Premier League video. So we're doing that video right now. Football Manager's going to predict the Premier League. Hello, folks, and welcome to a little Saturday morning bonus feature where Football Manager is going to predict the 2023-24 Premier League season. In fact, not just the Premier League. I've got the top 4 divisions in England loaded. I've got the major leagues across Europe loaded. So we'll focus on the Premier League. I'm English. Obviously, I'm going to focus on the Premier League. But we will have a little look around the other stuff as well a little bit later in the video. I've got the latest data updates on from Sort It Out SI. Latest, a big asterisk here, latest data updates as of time of recording of the video, because obviously it's a pre-recorded video. I'm recording this Thursday afternoon, so Thursday afternoon, it looks like Harry Kane might be leaving Spurs. He hasn't left yet, though. It looks like Harry Maguire might be leaving Manchester United. He hasn't left yet, though. So the transfers are up to date to the ones that are actually signed and sealed. I mean, looking at Manchester United, they do have Højlund in. So it is up to date, but obviously we can't predict the future and use transfers that are probably going to happen that haven't happened yet. So we have to take it with a pinch of salt. There might be 1 or 2 transfers that happened between Thursday afternoon and Saturday morning, but it was never going to be completely up to date and completely perfect. This is as good as we can do. This is why Football Manager don't release the game until after the transfer window is closed. So they don't have to deal with this kind of nonsense. But we do have all the right teams in all the right leagues. So we've got Luton in the Premier League. If we have a look at the season preview, you can see that Football Manager thinks it's going to be, I mean, this is before it's run a simulation to check, but thinks you're looking at Luton, Sheffield United and Burnley, the 3 promoted teams, as the 3 teams most likely to be relegated. We'll see if that's how it pans out. And is also predicting another Premier League title win for Manchester City. Most interestingly of all for me is that it's predicting Arsenal to finish in 5th place with what, to the outside, don't worry, Xhaka has left. He's just still showing as captain, as vice captain. But to the untrained eye, to the non-expert such as myself, this looks like a stronger Arsenal squad than the one last year that almost won the league. So we'll see if that's reflected in Football Manager. Also, a little bit surprising to see Brighton as far down as they are. I mean, I think the pre-season predictions are very much based on the reputation from the beginning of last season. So I don't think club reputations have changed as part of the data update. But obviously all the transfers have, player abilities have, that kind of stuff. Example of a player ability change. Balogun at Arsenal is actually considered quite good now. I mean, we've got attribute masking on because I'm not a coward, but you can see by his transfer value that he's quite highly rated after the season he had in France, even though on this date the season in France hasn't happened yet. It all makes sense to me. So what we're going to do from here, very simple, holiday forward a year, see what happens, and then decide if Football Manager knows what it's talking about. I mean, I am not a gambling man and wouldn't recommend you bet your house or your livelihood on what this video is about to suggest, but it has been pretty accurate in the past. So who am I to say how you spend your money? Holiday it. So we have made it through to the 11th of June, which is exactly the amount of time we need to go to get to the other side of the Champions League final. And let's have a look to see what's gone on in the Premier League. As you'd expect, Manchester City have won it. As you might not expect, Kai Havertz, top scorer in the Premier League. What on earth happened to Erling Haaland? Havertz, Bernardo Silva and Mitrovic tying on 17 goals. I'm sure we'll get to that in a moment. Let's try not to get distracted by all the shiny things as they happen and have a look what's actually gone on in the Premier League. So Manchester City winning the league comfortably. Liverpool finishing 2nd, Arsenal 3rd. Arsenal and Liverpool not a million miles away from Manchester City. Then there is quite a big gap down to Manchester United in 4th place, Newcastle, Tottenham, Aston Villa rounding out the European qualification spots. So interestingly, Football Manager expecting Chelsea to have a 2nd very disappointing season in a row, which that delights me. They're also, as you would expecting Luton to finish bottom of the league, but not breaking Derby's record for minimum points in the season. Sheffield United also expected to go straight back down, but Burnley will survive, with Nottingham Forest being pulled into the relegation spots after just surviving the 1 year in the Premier League before being sent straight back down again. Also a bit of a drop for Brighton, finishing down in 12th place, a little bit lower than expected as well. We'll dig into the to the teams in a second. In fact, forget that. Let's look at the teams now. So this is the 11 that Manchester City are using. So Erling Haaland is there. He just didn't score a lot of Premier League goals, it seems. So 16 goals in 35 appearances in the Premier League, 29 in 53 across all competitions. So we're scoring at a goal a game in the Champions League, but just not doing it in the Premier League, which is surprising. It looks like there've been some transfers gone on in January as well. Yeremy Pino has turned up at Manchester City. I did turn off first window transfers, but that's not going to stop clubs going and making transfer purchases in January. And you can see that Manchester City did go out and buy some players in January, and a lot of players moving on, mainly going out on loan in January as well. Let's have a look at the transfers for the Premier League as a whole to see what the biggest deal is. So the biggest deal in the Premier League that hasn't happened yet is that Yeremy Pino move to Manchester City for £69 million. No other really big deals, to be honest. Reece Nelson going to Bayer Leverkusen is a little bit of a surprise with him signing a new contract at Arsenal this summer. But other than that, I mean, there's not much in the way of big transfers happening there. No Harry Kane leaving Spurs. So in this world, Harry Kane does not complete the move to Bayern Munich that may or may not have happened in real life by the time this video comes out. So let's have a look at the team Liverpool are using on a consistent basis. Who are the star men for them? Looks like McAllister has settled in relatively quickly in midfield. Interesting to see Szoboszlai sat down there on the bench, although he's actually played 41 games. So I guess he just didn't play on the final game of the season. Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course, in this universe, still very much a right back. Be interesting to see if that's how he spends the season for Liverpool in real life. They're having to play Joe Gomez at right back in this. Sergio Ramos? Liverpool signed Sergio Ramos and then only played him 4 times. That's a strange one. Here's your Arsenal team. So Kai Havertz playing at centre forward for Arsenal. That fixes that conundrum. People didn't know where he was going to be used. Now we know. Declan Rice on the left-hand side of the 3. No Thomas Partey in the team. In fact, Partey only starting 27 games. Jorginho playing far more often than Partey. It looks like this version of Mikel Arteta prefers the midfield 3 of Jorginho, Odegaard and Declan Rice. Also, Timber playing centre-back ahead of Gabriel. I can never say the man's name. Gabriel. But he has played 52 games this season, so I guess he's just being rested. That's fine. And Tomiyasu in at right back. Interesting. I mean, lots of players playing lots of games. Balogun never left and also never scored a goal either. So I'm quite surprised to see how little Trossard has been used in this universe, and also how little Jesus has been used. Only scoring 6 goals, but inexplicably having a transfer value of up to 3. Cash in. If you're not going to use him and he only scores, absolutely cash in on that kind of money. And then to round out the top 4 and see what everybody is up to, this is your new look Manchester City team. So Casemiro, Mason Mount in a double pivot. Ooh, Manchester United fans, you're really being spoilt there. Onana, of course, playing regularly in goal, and Højlund up front, actually scoring as many goals as Haaland in the league. Maybe 1 fewer goal than Erling Haaland. Of course, there's going to be comparisons between those two all year, and it turns out they're basically as good as each other. Who'd have thought? Is there anyone else majorly significant we need to check? In fact, the top goal scorer was actually a 5-way tie. Havertz, Silva, Mitrovic, Calvert-Lewin and Salah, and then Haaland, Kane and Raheem Sterling tying for joint 6th place behind them. Romelu Lukaku coming back to Chelsea and scoring as many goals as Højlund has for Manchester United, which is an interesting one. Best players in the Premier League, Mo Salah, Bernardo Silva. I mean, you would expect all of this. Who's the highest rated newcomer to the Premier League? I mean, Declan Rice was a club change, but actual new. I mean, none of the summer's transfers so far have been particularly good according to average ratings. Assists wise, Jorginho picking up 12 assists for Arsenal probably explains why he made that central midfield position his own. Enzo Fernandez also having a good first full season at Chelsea. How has the media dream 11 changed with all of this that's gone on? It hasn't really, but we should be able to see a team of the year. Do we get a team of the year in the Premier League? I think we do. There you go. Players, team of the year. That is your expected Premier League team of the year. Alisson in goal. Gvardiol, of course, at Manchester City. Didn't notice him as I was going through everything else. Only played 27 games, but is apparently the best left back in the Premier League. Ruben Diaz, Laporte and Alexander-Arnold rounding out the back four. Then Sterling, Silva, De Bruyne and Salah in midfield. Havertz and Haaland as your dream Premier League strike partnership. What a world we live in here. Let's just dance down the other leagues as well, just to get an idea of what we're expecting to see happen further down the pyramid. So Leicester and Leeds coming straight back up. It looks like the playoff final hasn't happened yet. It could be a Premier League return clean sweep. It's a Stoke-Southampton final, or Southampton only finishing in 6th place. You'd consider them underdogs, I guess. Preston, Huddersfield and Plymouth, the 3 to be relegated from the Championship. In League One, I'm very disappointed to see Peterborough down in 15th place, but Reading expected to go straight back up as champions, with Blackpool and Wycombe accompanying them. Wigan, Burton, Cheltenham and Fleetwood as the relegated teams. And then in League 2, Sutton, Bradford and Wrexham. So Wrexham pulling off their back-to-back promotions up to League One. Stockport coming up through the playoffs, and Newport and Doncaster being relegated down to non-leagues. Let's just do a whistle-stop tour of the other major European leagues. So we'll start with France, where we've got Gonzalo Ramos, top scorer in Ligue 1 for Paris Saint-Germain. Kylian Mbappe is still there, but didn't score as many goals as their new boy, who got 21 goals as part of Paris Saint-Germain, predictably winning the league once again. If we have a look at the Bundesliga, you can see that we've got Bayern Munich not needing Harry Kane and still winning the Bundesliga, because let's face it, if that transfer does or does not, it makes no difference to Bayern Munich. They're winning the league regardless. What's the point of him going if he's gone? I should have done this as a live stream. What else have we got? La Liga, which I don't think I've got the real name fixed in, so it's Spanish First Division. Real Madrid winning the Spanish First Division. Atletico second, Barcelona third. Griezmann joint top scorer with Rodrigo of Real Madrid on 22 goals. Lewandowski for Barcelona rounding out that top 3. And then Serie A over in Italy. Juventus as the champions there, with Vlahovic finishing as top scorer, and Victor Osimhen, of course, not leaving Napoli, or Parthenope, finishes runner-up on the Golden Boot, but Napoli only able to finish 5th after their success last year. Let's look through the UEFA competitions. So if we start with the Conference League, this time around won by Fiorentina. Fiorentina beating Aston Villa in the final. Villa fans, this is your Conference League final team. I don't know. How confident are you feeling about the Conference League, knowing you're going to start in the final with Archer and Davis as your starting strikers? I mean, one has to ask oneself why that's been allowed to happen. Ollie Watkins is injured. Do Villa really only have one striker and then a couple of kids? I need to rethink my FPL. Goodness me. UEFA, what is it called? UEFA Europa League, isn't it? The middle one. There's too many UEFA competitions now. West Ham going back to back with European success off the back of their Conference League win. A West Ham team now managed by Graham Potter, that man gets everywhere, have won the Europa League. So West Ham are going to be in the Champions League next year. Despite losing Declan Rice, they've now got Sambi Lokonga and Dendoncker as their central midfielders. That does not look like a Champions League team. They've managed to keep Lucas Paqueta as well, who is another one who is just on the verge of a transfer as I'm recording this. I think he's heading to Manchester City, is that right? But instead, he gets to stay at West Ham and win a second successive European trophy. West Ham love doing well in Europe and terribly in the Premier League. Apparently, I mean, if this genuinely happens, West Ham are going to become the memeiest meme club in the history of meme clubs, and they won't care because they'll be playing in the Champions League. Talking of the Champions League, it's going to be a Real Madrid Paris Saint-Germain final. Fairly comfortable win for Real Madrid. And the best place English team is Manchester United. In the semi-final is Manchester City. I mean, Arsenal got knocked out by Real Madrid. What on earth happened to Manchester City? Got knocked out by Barcelona in the round of 16. I mean, I'd sack Pep for that. But apparently, Manchester City not quite as brutal as I am. And that wraps up Football Manager predicting the 23-24 football season. I know it's just a little bit of fun, but you should take it as gospel and assume all that is exactly what's going to actually happen. If you disagree, agree, let me know down in the comments if you've run some of these experiments yourselves. Let me know the differences that you've found in your saves. Are you surprised by West Ham? That West Ham thing is bonkers. For it to happen, for lightning to strike twice, absolute madness. But let me know down in the comments what do you think. And as I keep saying, when I starting to do more and more of these one-off videos, if you're enjoying them, support them, give them a thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments the sort of things you'd like to see next. I've got more free time during the days. Now we do the videos and the streams the way we do them. So I've got more time for stuff like this. And I'd like to do a little bit more of it because it is fun. I may have been bashing experiments for years, but they are quite fun, aren't they? Maybe I was wrong about that one. But if you have enjoyed this video, please leave a nice big thumbs up on it for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.